Yesterday, I called my travel agent in America, and she was happy to hear from me. And I got to talk with her and her husband, and we're good friends. But she desires privacy, so I'm not going to mention her name, but she knows who she knows. I mean, she talked. I talked to her yesterday, so she knows everything. So if you want to travel around the world, you must have a good travel agent, and she is an amazing. And in my humble opinion, she's the best travel agent in the world. And um, the one of the big trips, probably one of the coolest trips I ever went to. She did me a solid and really had my back when I went to Hawaii. I went to Hawaii for a month to visit my cousin, and it was probably one of the best vacations in the history of all of my vacations. And I love Hawaii. Everybody on earth knows I love Hawaii. I was there for 4 weeks on paid vacation. Amazing. Well, I went on Hawaiian Airlines, and randomly, like you hear the name Hawaiian Airlines, you think they're a solid company. Well, they're I don't know what happened, but I would give a 0 out of 10 for Hawaiian Airlines, even though prior to this incident, I would say a 10 out of 10. So Hawaiian Airlines, in their infinite wisdom, on my second trip to Hawaii, my 4 week vacation, they went bankrupt, and anybody who had an airline ticket was screwed by Hawaiian Airlines. So my travel agent called me while I'm in Hawaii, and she's like, "Hey, Hawaiian Airlines just went bankrupt or whatever, and they basically cancel all the flights, even though you paid for it. If you want to get your money back, you have to like call 911 or something. I don't know." Hawaiian Airlines is pathetic in my humble opinion, and they owe me money still to this day. But anyway, my travel agent did me a solid, and she was able to get me home from Hawaii. I love Hawaii, but I had to go back to work so I could get my pension to retire, so I could live in Hawaii for the rest of my entire life, also known as Ukraine, because in my mind, I pretend I am in Ukraine and I'm an hour south of the Russian border, but in my mind, I pretend I'm in Hawaii every day, all day, because Hawaii is paradise. I love Hawaii. Um, Another trip. So in 2019, I flew my mom for a month to Ukraine, and my travel agent did us a huge solid. And my mom was a senior citizen at the time, and she still is today. But the travel agent is so wise, and she says, "You know what? She's a senior citizen. I'm going to get you a wheelchair from, you know, to go through the all the process from Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport all the way to Ukraine and back. Everywhere we went, we were if you can get a wheelchair, they put you on first, take you off first, and they push you to the gate." So I just followed. I was like a puppy following a wheelchair, and someone was always pushing around, and I tipped them, and they were very nice. And I would say that those people deserve a raise. I don't, maybe they're overpaid, maybe they're underpaid, but I'm assuming they're underpaid because almost everybody on earth is underpaid. So those guys deserve a raise. If you're listening to this, tell your supervisor, listen to me, you deserve a raise. Okay. So that was a big deal. I took my mom in a once in a lifetime opportunity to Ukraine for 4 weeks. So I spent a month in Hawaii and I spent a month in Ukraine with my mom. And both those trips might not have happened if I didn't have a good travel agent. And I've been to her house many times. She's an expert chef. She could open a restaurant tomorrow where it would be packed because has she has recipes I've never heard of. Plus, she's an expert at cooking, and her husband would testify to that because he loves her food, and everybody that's ever eaten at her house. She's an she's a angel on earth, and her husband is also, and they are such good people, like salt of the earth type people, that they're guaranteed a spot in heaven. And I will testify to St. Peter that they belong in heaven. And um, and so Peter be like, you don't need to say anything. We already got 2 seats, but you. And then St. Peter's be like, well, we don't know. St. Peter might say, I have to go to hell with Adolf Hitler and Vladimir Putin. And I'm like, but but I have friends that are angels. And anyway, so my travel agent is amazing. The number one best travel agent I've ever had, and I've had some good ones. I had another travel agent before I met this travel agent I'm talking about. I had this travel agent, but she retired. But she was really interesting. Downtown Mesa, there's a I can't remember the travel agency, but that's the one I used because my coworker there used it a lot, and he testified that they're great. So it was an elderly. I would let's say she was probably about 60 or 65, and she wasn't retired yet, but she right before she retired, she she got my tickets to Bulgaria, and I went on a week vacation to Minnesota, and she had my back big time. She's of the Jewish faith or Hebrew faith, and she can swear like a sailor. She was a professional um, profanity artist. Like she was bilingual in English and profanity and probably Hebrew. She might have spoke Hebrew, English, profanity. She was a champion, but it was a tool to save my neck in these two instances I'm about to tell you. So this elderly Hebrew lady, one of the things she liked to collect was dreidels, international. Like I didn't know that, and so I said, hey, when I go to Bulgaria, I'm going to get you a dreidel because I know where the synagogue is. And so I went to the synagogue, and they didn't have any dreidels, but they had a yarmulke. So I got her a Bulgarian yarmulke, and I took a tour of the synagogue. And the guy in the synagogue, he said, God protected this synagogue in downtown Sofia because in World War II, the American Air Force bombed the crap out of Sofia, Bulgaria, and a bomb went through the roof of the Jewish synagogue and didn't blow it up. Like it didn't even blow up. It hit, stopped, didn't blow up, and didn't kill anyone. They just needed to fix the roof and maybe, polish the floor or whatever. So he said, God protected the synagogue in World War II from the Americans, which is interesting. And so I got her yarmulke and I went back. But the big thing is when I went to Minnesota, I went to the Minneapolis airport and I was trying to catch a puddle jumper from Minneapolis to Brainerd. I had already booked a hotel and I was going to spend a week in Brainerd, which is the birthplace of Paul Bunyan, if you didn't know already. Brainerd hockey. Okay? So she did me a solid. When I was at the airport of Minneapolis, I prepaid my flight both ways, and she's like, oh, seats are full. I'm like, I paid for the flight. She's like, sorry, seats are full. I made a quick phone call. I said to my Hebrew or Jewish travel agent that is a professional in profanity, and I said, hey, I'm at Minneapolis Airport, and this airline says they're overbooked, and I don't have a seat. And she goes, hand her the phone. So I was afraid of my own travel agent. She was about to kill somebody, and so I handed her the phone. The lady, I don't know what she said because I couldn't hear her. But whatever she said, in about 10 seconds, she handed the phone back and says, okay, here's your seat. So this travel agency, she's the number 2, the one that booked my trip to Hawaii and to Ukraine with my mom. She's number 1 in the world. This swearing sailor, also known as a Jewish Hebrew travel agency, and she is tough as nails. And she was only about 5'1" and maybe 100 pounds, and she could kill someone just with her mad dog eyes. I mean, I was afraid of her, but I trusted her because when I hired her, she had my back. If I was working at an airline and I had to pick up the phone and answer to her, I'd be scared. I'd piss my pants. I would pee my pants, probably number 2 in my drawers, and I would suck my thumb and get in the fetal position in the middle of the airport with everybody watching, and I would not be shy about it. It would happen. That's how good this number 2 in the world travel agency. Number 1 in the world booked my Hawaii trip, my Ukraine trip with my mom. Number 2 in the world booked my trip to Minneapolis and Bulgaria. So that's what it comes down to is you must have a good travel agent. Not all travel agencies are the same. There is a travel agent. I don't know her name, but She wouldn't answer the phone, but I texted her, and I think she has blonde hair, blue eyes, because that's what it said on the website. But she lives in Show Low, Arizona. Piece of crap. She is worthless. I don't know who her name is, but if you Google uh, travel agent in Show Low, Arizona, she might be the only one. Blonde hair, blue eyes. I'm guessing. I don't. Maybe his green eyes. I don't know. 0 out of 10 stars. Worthless. The worst travel agent in the history of travel agencies, like the Titanic travel agent. She's worse than the Titanic travel agent that booked that. And almost everyone died in Titanic. That's how bad this Show Low travel agent is. And if you want me to apologize, give me $10 billion and I'll think about it. That's how bad of a travel agent you are, okay? Show Low travel agency. I don't know who it is. Blonde hair, blue eyes. She looks about 55, 60. If you want me to apologize, pay me $10 bazillion and I'll think about it, okay? I know the number one travel agent in the world. She booked my trip to Hawaii and my trip to Ukraine with my mom. Number two in the world is a retired lady. I don't know her name. She's a tough as nails Jewish lady that swears like a sailor. In fact, sailors are probably jealous because she's so good and musical with her profanity. And she was so nice to me. She was so nice to me. I was still afraid of her, even though she was nice to me. Anyway, that's the story.